This is a presentation to show you about the Georgia Milestones website created by the Georgia Department of Education. It's called the Georgia Experience Online. And this is the site you will go to if you visit this website listed at the bottom, www.gaexperienceonline.com. Once you get to this site, it is very important to remember these things at the bottom here. It says it's available every day from 7 a.m. until 10 p.m. After those times, it will not be available for students to use. So overnight times they usually use for maintenance and things of that nature. So the time's there, as well as it is only available on Google Chrome. So as long as you have a Chromebook, it's okay. But if you have another device, such as an Apple device or another personal device, you may have to download the Google Chrome app to be able to do this activity. Once you get into the site, the first thing you come to is a page that looks like this. All right, we are not end of course, as that is reserved for middle schoolers and high schoolers. So the end of grade spring main test is what we're looking at here, this one right at the top right, and you will click where it says Online Tools Training. Once you do that, you can do a page that looks like this, and you have, usually it'll just say EOG test practice at the top. Once you click that, it will drop down and you'll see 4 different choices. You have standard online tools, audio color contrast and color chooser, which we do not use, video sign language, which we do not use. This is for students who have special needs for testing, and the technology enhanced items. So the 2 that have the arrows by it are the 2 that you may want to use at some point just to practice for the kinds of questions you will see on the test. So once you click those 2, the standard online tools, it drops down to show you that grades 3 through 5 or grades 6 through 8, of course at elementary school level, we'll choose grades 3 through 5 to view the online tools. And then for technology enhanced, it's a practice for all grade levels. And the technology enhanced items are usually a little bit different questions than you'll see on the test, as opposed to just clicking multiple choice or selected response answers, as well as simply typing a written response answer. So they're a little bit different, but you will also see examples of these technology enhanced items if you just do the practice for grades 3 through 5. So I would typically recommend you start with the standard online tools, grades 3 through 5. Once you click that, like I said before, it only works with Google Chrome. If you are in a different browser, you'll get a message that looks like this. It'll say you failed the readiness check, and that's because you do not have Google Chrome, so you need to get on a computer that does have Google Chrome or a device. For the username and password, it is always just listed. So for both, whether you did the technology enhanced items or just the online tool practice, it's going to tell you what the username and the password is, and you have to type those exactly using the capital G and the capital T on both. This is Georgia 3.5, and this is the one that I do just to practice the 3rd through 5th grade questions, and training has to have that capital T. If you do not have those items, you will not be able to sign in. So once you do sign in properly on Google Chrome browser, you'll get to this page that says that this is what we're doing, and you will push continue. All right. So it gives you a little introduction as you would get on the online milestone test. When you take it, it'll say welcome student. Before you begin testing, it tells you what session you're starting or what test you're doing. So you just review that as you would on the normal milestone test, and then you will push continue. You always have the option to exit the test at any time. It does not penalize you. There's nothing being officially scored or anything like that. So you just continue on. All right, so here it gives you again the test, and they always like to make sure that you know what test you're taking. So grades 3 through 5, test practice, and I would click that as well. Then you get into the first part of the test, which is always the directions. If the test is read to you as a milestones accommodation, then you will hear this part. It'll be reading to you, and you'll see little box going across the screen. But for most people, you're going to read these directions on your own. So most students, you will read this part on your own, and when you do, you'll push the next button to continue to the next page, and so on and so on. So you'll continue reading the directions, you'll push next again. Eventually, you come to a page that describes the test tools. The tools you can use on the online to assist you during the test. You can use more than one tool at a time. To close a tool, use your mouse and click on the tool again. So usually the default is, of course, this pointer up here. But if you click things like if you're looking at answer choices and you know that a choice is not right, you can use the cross-off tool to X out answer A, answer C, whatever you need to do. The highlighter, of course, is if you're reading a text and you see something that you really want to remember or could use to answer a question, you might highlight it. Sticky notes, or if you just want to take notes. Magnifier makes the test bigger to read it if it's too small to read. And then the line guide is for those who just, usually when they're reading, they use their finger to point or something like that. The line guide kind of moves down the page as you are moving it to read and keep you more focused on what you're reading. So those are the tools that you would use during the milestones. All right, once you get to the end of the directions, then it gives you the option to begin the test. So you will push begin test. All right, now once the test starts, there are the tools I just told you about at the top. Like I said, usually you have the little mouse cursor, the arrow that's usually there, and you would use that, of course, to choose answers A, B, C, or D for this question. Like I said, if you wanted to cross out an answer, you can use this little X and put an X over answer A or something that you know is not the correct answer. You don't have to do that all the time. Like I said, it's just a tool you can use. You can use that highlighter to highlight different parts of the text. You can add your own notes. You can make the passage bigger. Most times, if it's big enough, it's okay. Now, you'll notice down here at the bottom, it says page 1 of 5. Very important, boys and girls, that you realize you are not just reading this one page. Now, to go to the next page, you would click on the edge of the page, and it kind of turns it, just like you're turning the pages of a book. So you would go to page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, and that's how you would work your way through that reading passage there. All right. So the options that are always available at the bottom are you can flag an item, which means you may not know the answer. And so even if you chose an answer, you may want to go back and review that one if you have time at the end. So you can put flags by your answers. And I'll show you a little later on how that looks at the end of the test. You can pause the test, and this is only used, of course, during the test if you have to go to the restroom and you have an emergency and your teacher needs to let you go, you would pause the test. Or you could always hit the review and test button to take you to the end, and I'll show you what that looks as well. Otherwise, you're just going to answer each question. You'll answer this question, and you will push the next button, and it'll take you to the next question. All right, so this is what it looks like, again, if you hit review or if you get to the very last question and you're done with all the questions. So if you hit the review button at the bottom, which is green, then you might get to this page. Now, lots of important things to remember when you're taking the test. This says if it has a check mark in it, it's answered. So you can see here in my sample that I answered all of these questions with the check marks in it. Now, does that mean I got the questions right? No, that doesn't mean I got them right. In fact, if you notice again, you'll see that the flag here, these blue flags, show that these are questions that I marked with flags that I want to go back and check on again. So even though I answered question 5, I wasn't really too sure about my answer here. So I wanted to put a flag on it so I would go back and answer it. For question 7, I didn't answer the question because I guess I was having some problems with it. So I put a flag by number 7 because, I just didn't know what it was and I didn't want to spend too much time there. So I moved on to the next one. Then I answered 10, 11, 12. I answered it, but again, I had a question, so I'm not gonna, or I put a flag there so I'd go back to it. And then 18, 19, and 20, I was having a lot of problems with those questions, so I didn't answer them. And I also put flags by it to remind me to go back. So usually before you submit your test, you will have all of these check mark boxes. They'll be checked. If you turn off your flags after you check them, you can turn off the flags again to leave that blank. It's not necessary, but the most important thing, of course, is that you have answered every single question. So all of these questions boxes should have check marks in it saying you have answered the question, okay? So then you have options. You have options. You can either end the test if I've answered everything, and I wouldn't do that now because I didn't, or you can return to the questions. Now, I can just click on question 7 here, and it would take me straight to question 7. That's the easiest way to get back and forth to questions. Just click on question 7, it'll take me there. Then if I come back to this page, I click on question 18, it'll take me to question 18, all right? But anyways, after I finished answer all these things, I would push end test. So when I do hit end test, it asks you, it says, are you done with your test? be sure you have answered all the questions. So again, mine looks like I didn't answer the questions. When you're taking the milestones, you better make sure you've answered all the questions, because you do not want to submit something that is not answered. And of course, make sure as you are practicing for the milestones that you work at it and that you're moving quickly. You don't spend too much time on one question. You and your teacher should be practicing that, of course, as well. So then it gives you the option still here to continue testing. It says return it to review, so you can always go back or turn in your test. So for this time, I would submit it, and that would be the end of my test. All right, so thank you guys for your time today. I hope that you have a great milestone test and that you're ready and able to do your best on it. Thank you so much.